All right, here we go. OverDrive, off and running. TSN 1050 on the TSN app, your home smart speaker, and up on TSN 4. Bryan Hayes, Frankie Corrado, and the O-Dog Jeff O'Neill. What a day.
Fellas. I'm here, fellas.
There he
I
is.
don't know why. Whatever's going on is going on, but I'm here, so go ahead.
Right, there he is. I was worried we had another Joel Embiid situation on our hands. A back-to-back, and the O-Dog wasn't going to make it. But he made it. He's here just in time, and it's all good. You got to get your mic on. Let's get everything together here, guys.
Here we go. I thought my mic was
not
on.
in the mood for this today. Let's keep it on the rails. Where are we at?
He's mad at us now.
No, it's all good.
But
all good.
I don't know what makes him more mad, this or the video reviews from last night.
Oh, so gross. And you know what is going to make it even I'm not going to say it's going to make my evening even worse, is that Taylor Swift is in town now, so she's here. And what we're going to have is we're going to have brag posting of everyone that is at the concert tonight. And then I'm going to have to deal with, oh, did you see who was there? How did they get tickets? And we didn't get tickets because now it's been a year and a half where we've been preparing for Taylor Swift to arrive, and she's here. And I always thought I'd be able to find tickets, and I didn't find tickets.
Really?
So I have no tickets. I've already seen her. I have no interest in going. But, yeah, the concert starts tonight. So brag posting will officially be underway as of tonight.
People can't help themselves.
Oh, it's going to be
They
outrageous, the stories and the posting. And
it has to be like, I find when people go to concerts like this, they post the Instagram stories. There's like 45 of those things that you have to flip through. Eventually, you just say, swipe, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
The problem is the next person is going to have 45, and then you're going to have to swipe again.
Oh, I know. And it's mandatory. If you have tickets, apparently it's mandatory that you let everyone know that you're one of the 50,000 people that are lucky enough to be there tonight. And I guess she got the full escort down to 427. She's in town. It's go time. And this is, I don't even know what we're doing here. Like, it's so outrageous what's happening to start this show all the time. Drives me insane. But anyway, yes, the Leafs with a big win last night and all those video reviews. Were you talking about that with Gino today? I thought I saw you post.
We were talking about the video reviews. Like, and I saw MJ tweet last night. Like, by the rule book, they are applied correctly. It just depends, like, how rigid do you want to be when you apply those things? Like, Dowd is in the crease. He makes contact with Woll.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not like it's a tiny little bit, but they're trying to eliminate some of the gray area. So if you're in the blue paint and you make contact with the goalie, chances are it's coming back. Like, they're trying to make it as black and white as possible in an area where there usually is a lot of gray area.
Yes, well, and that's what's been aggravating over the years about this kind of stuff is that it's always subjective anyway. Like, if the refs came out and said that's a good goal, I would not have been surprised. And on this particular occasion, it was lucky for the Leafs. They called it back. I don't know if it matters where the shot was going, but it was along the ice. So the blocker, to me, should not have factored into whether or not he can stop that puck. Like, if in my league, if I ran it, I would have allowed all of those goals last night. The Carlson goal, the Lorentz goal, I have no idea why that's an issue. Like, I get a kicking motion because historically they don't want to blade off the ice and they don't want blades around goalies and scrums. The thing hit him basically in the waist. I have no idea why that didn't count.
There was no kicking at all.
No.
I don't know why. It just seemed like it went off his leg. Obviously, there was some motion towards the net, but how you can claim that's kicking, or I just don't see how that's dangerous, or what like the problem was where like that wouldn't be allowed.
No, me neither.
That's what I can't figure out about that goal.
Me neither. And Nyes, to me, it looked like it was an appropriate tip. I mean, it looked like it was under the bar or at the bar, and I think Ty should always go to a goal going in, but I'll say this about the Leafs and the way that they grinded that game out last night. That was a gutsy win. I think that's their best win of the year.
Absolutely,
and more so than Winnipeg, even though they're the only team that have beat them, more so than that Tampa game that's taken on a life of its own as if it was some like miraculous effort by them. Tampa was good. They weren't great that night, and the Leafs dominated. Good for you. That's a game last night you circle and you never forget. That's one that you can say, we probably didn't even deserve 2 points, were up against it back-to-back. You get into town late. You start slow. Like, they were on their heels in that first period. They were on their heels. You're down 3-1 with like 10 minutes to go. Multiple goals called back, which would have been so easy to just say, screw it, it's not our night. Like, we can't even get goals that we believe should count to go our way. They have 2 different reviews go against them, and they still grind and battle and fought hard when they pulled the goalie. And then to win it in overtime with an effort like that from Tavares and company was just incredible. And then, it's a great win last night.
And the guy like Joseph Woll has kind of become the guy on the back burner because of how well Stolarz has played. That's a massive save on Alex Ovechkin in overtime.
That is right down Broadway, and he
one-timer
laid into that shot.
Yes,
that was a bomb.
So like everything kind of went right for the Leafs in the the last half of that third period. But you're right. Like in the past, that's a game where it's like, okay, we're out of here. It is what it is. We're not going to get it. It's not going our way. Captain's still not playing, all that stuff. And then for them to turn it around the way they did, I'm trying to go back in time and imagine, like, when have I seen that from them before, where they really just turned the tables and flipped a switch or chipped away at it and won a game like that? I can't think of one that comes to mind in the last year or so.
No, I mean, I'm sure there's been examples of it, but none that stick out to me, considering the way they had played the night before. Like, it was a really poor effort against Ottawa. And then, again, you're down 3-1. And at that point, I'm starting to think, okay, what are we talking about the next day? We're talking about how they can beat inferior competition, but quality competition without Matthews, without more goal scoring down the lineup, they're going to have issues. And that's what the story would have been today, is if you piss that one away and they lose 4-2 with an empty net by Washington.
Oh, man.
It's Ottawa dummied you. Washington was all over you. You missed the big guy. Now you're 3-2 without Matthews. Now all of a sudden, in the standings don't look so great, and they saved themselves last night. Like,
the big headline would be
themselves.
Hayes. They can't score. It would just be because that narrative started the other day. It was like they have a new problem. I think Jonas's headline was they have a new problem. They can't score, and if they drop that one 4-1 or whatever it was going to be, it just would have been a mess. A mess.
Yes.
That's one where he's retweeting his article. And, like, in case you missed it, posted this early in the week.
Yeah.
Check it out.
Well, and listen, it was factual. You know, like they had
still
issues scoring. Yes.
It is factual. There's guys that are giving them nothing.
Yes.
Like Max Domi is in. I love Max Domi. Everything about him, right? Like, there's the attitude that he is willing to do everything for this team and loves being here and wants to work harder defensively or apply himself more in that aspect. But that guy is going through it right now. Like, he had that clear-cut breakaway, and he gets stopped, and it's like there's a guy that should be contributing more. Nick Robertson's not even playing. Like, that's a guy that should be contributing more. Mm-hmm. Do they get anything out of Camp, Holmberg, these kinds of guys? Like, they're winning games without Matthews, and it's crazy that there hasn't been this supporting cast of guys that have really chipped in offensively, but that's not the story. Like, we're not
it's
bitching
not.
about that.
That's the beauty of a win.
That is not the story. The story is that team dug away and chipped away and didn't veer off their game plan, and they won a game and they got rewarded for it. And when you see it happen, like, if you're in that room and you're like, okay, boys, like, it kind of works. Hey, like, maybe we should do this.
And especially when you consider the guys who ended up scoring the goals. It's Nylander, then Marner, then Tavares. Like, it could not have been more highlighted. Like, the 3 of the core 4 players who were playing last night literally scored the goals to save the game. Yet I thought Matthew Nyes was a beast last night in the third period in particular. I liked, even though they didn't contribute offensively, and Berube said after the game, they had a Camp, Steves, Holmberg mashup line going last night that actually went over the boards and kind of pushed play. David Camp was out there in overtime for some reason. I have no idea what that was all about. But that was on the fly. Like, it was not off a draw. You know, like, even that I think is extreme. But you tell me, okay, he's out there. You got to draw in your own zone. You want possession. It's so important in overtime. I guess I can reason with that logic. This guy came over the boards on the fly in overtime last night.
You think
that's unheard of?
You think they were scrambling at the bench and he was just like, I'm just going to go, screw it. Like,
Possibly.
I'm not going to wait to hear who's coming up.
Communication breakdown and can't.
What was the motive? Was it like, this guy looks like he's grooving tonight? Maybe he'll rip one under the bar?
I guess. I mean, it might have been a scenario where they thought he's actually skating, he's on his toes, and he's due. I'm not sure what the reason.
At the time where you put out a guy who might or might not be due.
Not generally the conventional logic would say that David Camp, you're due, go steal us an extra point. But it was a really impressive battle by the Leafs last night in the third period, and for them to win that in overtime when Riley was right down Broadway earlier in the overtime and he just missed, or I think Thompson maybe stopped it, and then the sequence of Ovechkin, like we were just saying, like stepping, that shot had to be 100 miles an hour.
No kidding. It's like it could have went through his pad.
It almost did. Like it was like Woll was like 10 feet outside of his crease there, or off the line anyway. Yeah. Like he was flying out, knowing Ovi's not going backdoor on this. Ovi's not looking for a pass partner, back post. This guy is going to clap this thing. And he did, and Woll stops it, and then Marner chips it perfectly. And I still don't know why Logan Thompson didn't come out and
I don't know,
play that puck. I guess it's a deception thing. Maybe he thought it didn't have enough legs to get far enough down to him, and I'm not sure what happened. But credit to John Tavares, because now JT, a guy with where he is in his career, his age, he sets up the first goal with a really nice play, and then he wins it in overtime where he looked good skating. He's in close. He can make a play. I mean, he's credit to him.
He's been really good. It almost comes across like he's got a little chip on his shoulder right now. Like, and I don't imagine he's a guy that listens too much outside of what's going on in that room. But like, there's times when we talk about John Tavares like he's washed up and should be making $750,000, and meanwhile the guy just continues to put up points. And, sometimes it's against a team, that is lower in the standings, whatever you want to call it, but you still have to do it. But I thought last night, like the one-on-one play that he makes on that's Matt Roy, who's a good defenseman, where he goes like through the stick and then around him, and then he sets up McMahon for like that is elite John Tavares.
Yeah, it is.
He's always, the contract is always what you have to look at with him, and that whatever it is, what it is.
They'll get to that whenever they want to.
But
there's no rush to do anything on him.
He has played really good. Like he deserves his flowers for how he's played. He hasn't sulked one bit, and he's kind of just been getting after it, and maybe he's got a little something to prove.
Well, and it's a good point. I mean, probably the biggest story of the offseason was him losing the captaincy, and they tried to soften it as much as they could, that he was in on it and it was the right time. There's no way he didn't want to continue to be the captain. I mean, we all know that, and it could have been awkward for him. And he, to your point, he has, I think, handled it brilliantly. He looks much more relaxed. He's talking with the media more when he wants to talk with the media, and when he does, I think he's honest. I think he's cool, calm, collected. He looks like John Tavares, but feels like there's a bit of a load off his back in terms of some of the expectations and some of the priorities that come with it.
Absolutely, he can just play.
Yeah, he can just play.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, that's the only way to handle it. I think it was a point where they basically told him, like, we're doing this. It wasn't like they weren't looking for a sign-off. But I think you look at it, and it's like last night was really good, but don't you think people are hesitant, like, long-term? Like, that was a great game, but are you going to be the second-line centerman come play? I don't know.
Yeah,
it's almost like even 10 games from now, it could be fall off in your third line John Tavares again, and I think that's where people are just a little bit cautious when they're watching him play.
It's like Tavares and Marner in that same category of what can you show us in the regular season that we haven't already seen from you? Like you're not proving anything to us. I think under the circumstances for Tavares, like the fact that he got off to a slower start and there was the captaincy and the contract and all that stuff, it's like it's nice to see him do it now, because it could still be it could have been going south and staying south. But you're right. Like, it's like you're not showing us anything that we really haven't seen the last little bit. It always, and I hate to say it, but it just always comes back to playoffs.
Yeah.
That's what always comes back to.
That's why I'm not prepared to do a contract talk every time he has a good game. I mean, it just, to me, it's completely unnecessary. He's made it very clear. On June 30th, you can call John up and say, fine, we'll work a deal out. And he'll work the deal out. Like, John's not going anywhere. He doesn't want to go anywhere. This is 100% in the Leafs' court. So why force anything? Why even contemplate where it's going to go? Figure it out after the season. Play out the whole year. Marner might be a different scenario, but John, it's very clear-cut where he's at in his career, the negotiating power, the leverage, all that kind of stuff. And again, to his credit, he's had a really good start. And that was a big win last night. And the Leafs, again, 4-1 without Matthews. And off day today. We'll find out tomorrow if he's going to play on the weekend. Like if he doesn't skate tomorrow, he's not playing Saturday.
Absolutely not.
There's just no chance. So we'll see if he's back as a full participant tomorrow. But the Leafs have the Oilers in town on Saturday night. Last night, Oliver Ekman-Larsson played his 1,000th game in the league. 1,000 games in the league, and obviously it went pretty well for him and his team last night. And we'll come back and catch up with Oliver. We got Luke Wilson in studio at 5. Big Thursday nighter tonight. Basically, the NFC East is up for grabs. Eagles at home against the Commanders. Eagles a 3.5-point favorite on FanDuel. Owen Wilson with the pick. Al's brother's in the house. He'll be a part of that as well. So we look forward to that coming up just after 5 o'clock. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4. OverDrive continues, brought to you by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. The Leafs back in action on Saturday with McDavid and the Oilers in town. And Connor McDavid and the Oilers playing Nashville tonight. 999 points.
And he dummies Nashville. Like him and Draisaitl usually dummy that team when they play them.
Generally, everyone is dummying Nashville right now.
This year, yes.
Unfortunately for them.
Have they not kind of picked it up a tiny bit, rounded a corner, or are they still just getting dummied?
Not really, man. Like they're still last place. Yeah. Like even San Jose's run off some wins. And like that's bad when it's a backhanded compliment to them is, hey, even they kind of won a couple games.
Yeah, no disrespect to San Jose.
No disrespect to San Jose.
Dude, I watched San Jose the other day against Jersey. I think they beat Jersey like 1-0 or something. Yeah. But they had some shifts in their own zone where I think the Jersey Devils had 3 different line changes. And I was in shock watching it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I've never seen that. They got the win, though. They got the win.
They picked up the win. And you know who's been really good? He's in Anaheim. Is that Dostal kid, the goaltender?
Dude, that guy gets
been unreal.
Peppered.
He gets peppered every single night.
That guy's like the guy who will show up to your beer league game when you're playing a really good team and just get annihilated, but will make some unbelievable saves.
What did the Sun call him last year? The Sun called him like a
no-name goalie.
No-name goalie stuns the Leafs or whatever it was.
It was worse than no-name goalie.
It was bad.
I think it was bad.
Yeah.
They were pissed, too.
It was, oh, yeah.
As they should be. He's their number one guy.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's been Gibson forever.
Yeah.
But, and listen, to be fair to the Sun, they have no obligation to care about the Anaheim Ducks. But the Ducks were bent out of shape, man. They went on a pretty serious social media campaign, and they were not happy with the way that people in Toronto are reacting to the Leafs losing that game. Although I think maybe they won in overtime. They won in overtime, but Dostal was unbelievable.
Yeah,
and made 50 stops or whatever it was. But yeah, anyway, that's what McDavid is trying to accomplish tonight. 1,000 points, which is just remarkable, and so is 1,000 games. 1,000 games in the NHL, man. I was doing an interview with someone in Sweden actually today, asking me, writing about Oliver Ekman-Larsson and wanting to get a read on how the markets, responded to Oliver being here. And we're just talking about that club. Like, you hit 1,000 games, man. It is a stunning, stunning number to hit the National Hockey League, and that's what happened last night. And here he is from the Maple Leafs. Here's Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Oliver, how does it feel to play 1,000 games in the NHL?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. You always dream about playing that one game in the league, and here we are, 1,000 games later. And yeah, I don't know. It's kind of hard to go down the memory lane, and you don't really think about it until like a week ago when you start planning your family's trip out and everything. So, but I'm very thankful, and I was super. It was just a super nice night last night. So yeah, it was awesome.
Oliver, what do you think is one of the keys to your durability playing in the NHL as a defenseman? A lot of hits. Like, what's the key for you to stick around and play that many games? Is it fitness? Is it your mental approach? What do you think's helped you along the way here?
No, I think early on it was just like the willingness to be on the ice and to put in the work. I think that's how it started as a young kid, and I kind of brought that with me when I got over here. And I feel like, yeah, I mean, you all obviously go through a lot of, not a lot, but sometimes it's a little bit tougher road, but it's how you kind of handle those situations and how you get out of it. But yeah, overall, I think just my ability to kind of adapt and take things in and try to get better every single day. And I think that's what I'm still have. You know, like I want to get better, even if you win a cup, even if you play 1,000 games. I want to get better. I want to help my teammates and the team out to get to that goal. So that's what I'm excited about. And when you get that taste of winning, you want to do that again. So it's a great thing to have.
Oliver, can you take us through your mind when you get bought out by Vancouver and then you get a chance to sign with the Florida Panthers? Ultimately, you win a Stanley Cup, and you're such a big part of that group. You played excellent all year last year. Like, what's going through your mind when you get that opportunity to go to Florida and compete for a cup?
Yeah, no, first of all, I think my time in Vancouver, I loved it. My family loved it there, so we have nothing bad to say about the city of Vancouver or the organization. I was a little bit surprised that when I got that called, I'm not going to lie, but I think that helped me too to really put in the work that summer. Like you said, get the chance to sign with the Panthers and come to an unbelievable organization that was going the right direction, and just guys that they have there. It's an unbelievable group that I will be thankful for and do whatever I need to do, except when we're playing those guys. But I think, just overall, it was a perfect situation last year, and I'm very thankful for the opportunity there, and kind of get that experience to bring with me here for the Leafs, and try to do whatever I can to help the guys out here.
With Oliver Ekman-Larsson of the Leafs, played his 1,000th game last night, and you've signed on here a 4-year deal, so you're going to be a Leaf for a while. And I'm curious, when you're going through the process of free agency, and when the Leafs called you, like how much did your mind go to the history between this team and Sweden? In other words, Nylander being here, obviously Matt Sundin, Borje Salming, like there's such a great connection to Swedish players in the Maple Leafs. Did that factor in at all to your decision to sign up here?
No, I think you try to factor in a lot of things. And I mean, obviously having a lot of history, like you said, with Swedish players, and it's not, it's Borje and Mats, and it's hard to do better than those guys. What they did here is unbelievable, and kind of just cool for a guy like me to come here and play for the same organization and try to live up to their standards that they kind of built here, and so I think I think you think about that. I think they did a unbelievable job creating that culture here, and you can still feel like it's here, right? So, but I think you think about that, and obviously you kind of Willie and Holmberg and John Croak and all the Swedes. I think it's easier to come into a team with a lot of Swedes that and that helps too. So, but I think bottom line is that, like I said before, I think you want to win again, and I think it will be a very special place to do it in Toronto, and I think we do have the team to do that, and I'm just excited to be here. So, I think it came down to doing something special and kind of have that challenge for yourself and the organization. I think it's a great thing.
So 14 years ago, you entered the league. Now 1,000 games later, there you are. You've had so many different teammates you've played with, whether it's in Arizona, Vancouver, Florida, Toronto. But when you think back to when you were younger, was there one or two guys that really meant a lot to you as a teammate that took you under their wing and kind of showed you the ropes?
We were talking a little bit about it last night with my family, and I feel like hockey has been giving me so many friendships that I'm going to have for the rest of my life. And and I'm just so grateful for all of that. But I don't feel like it's fair to name any names, but just like having a guy like Shane Doan coming in as a young player, showing me the way how to be a pro on and off the ice. I think that meant a lot. Mikhail Bodker, another guy that I was living with for a few years, and we had a good connection, and he kind of took care of me. I didn't speak English at the time, so it was kind of nice having him there. He played in Sweden for a year and learned Swedish, so I kind of just walked around with him, and I didn't have to do much. So he was a guy, but Keith Yandel, Adrian O'Coin, Mikalek, like you can go down the road, Roosevelt, like it's so many players in that room. Yeah, like I said, I don't want to miss anybody, but like it was a great group of guys that I came into the first couple of years that really took care of me and showed me the ropes.
With Oliver Ekman-Larsson, Willie was saying that you're on, you're going to have to pick up the tab here and bring the boys out to dinner. Can you confirm that? And if so, what's the plan? And where do you cap that? Like if the guys start getting a little bit crazy with.
What about they bring him out for dinner, Hayes? Why is it the guy that has the 1,000 game?
Good question.
No, I do owe the boys a dinner. But I heard that Willie wanted to drink a nice bottle of wine. That's
Yes.
the rumor. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Okay.
Maybe he have to chip in a little bit.
Yeah, Willie's got enough cash. Willie could chip in if he has to. Sure, Willie doesn't have to worry about it.
I do think it's important that you show how thankful you are for your teammates, and I don't think they know how grateful I am that the way that they have been taking care of me and my family the first couple of months here. So I'm really thankful for those guys. So they deserve a nice dinner.
Absolutely. Well, congrats. 1,000 games. It's pretty incredible. And obviously you got a lot more left in the tank and off to a great start here in Toronto. So enjoy a couple of days off. Good luck Saturday night against Edmonton, and we'll do it again down the road. Thank you for this.
Thanks, guys.
There's Oliver Ekman-Larsson, 1,000 games in the league.
A lot of it in Arizona.
Yeah.
I was going to ask him, imagine the off-day golfing that goes on in Arizona playing that much time there.
Oh.
Hayes, can you imagine
I can't.
yourself, if you were, live beside Whisper Rock or...
It's gross, man. And I've heard stories over the year. You guys would probably be able to confirm them because you played in the league. But of guys that veterans on their last kind of tour of duty that were playing 36 a day down there. Literally.
We've got to get some inside scoops on some guy. I bet you Phil teed it up a lot in Arizona.
A ton
man.
in Arizona.
Dude.
Yeah.
A ton.
I know when we would do that West Coast swing, it was quiet, but guys had made the reservation at Pebble well in advance.
Oh, yeah. If you're playing San Jose, Pebble was mandatory.
Well in advance, that was on the books.
Thing is with Pebble is you could get, not caught. It doesn't matter. But Pebble's so public and there's so many people. It's the sneaky tracks in different cities that you have to really appreciate. That because you look at the Leafs schedule now, they play 3 times in the next 13 days. Where if you have
it?
Yeah, they've got a weird schedule. They play Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, Wednesday. So between now and 2 Wednesdays from now, they play 3 times. So they've got a lot of time off here where they barely play.
Yeah, if they were in Arizona with that sked, that is 36 a day.
Yes.
I mean, you can't for practice, but you're teeing it a lot.
Well, and with the CBA now, there's so many off days.
Yes.
So there's mandatory 4 a month, 1 a week.
And that's they're right there is 36 4 times a month.
Yeah.
Dude, if it's a market like Toronto, if let's say that this market had Arizona weather, I don't think you could be teeing it that much because people got wind of that, man. For whatever reason, because I always used to say to people, because this golfing stuff was treated like you were going to a peeler joint or something. I'm I'm golfing. It's low stress. I'm not getting in trouble. Right. Why are people acting like this is some crazy thing that I'm doing? And that was my escape. That was my getaway. I had buddies away from the away from the rink, and we hung out and we golfed. And I'm like, I don't get why people look like, oh, you're golfing. Make sure you're careful if you're golfing. Don't be seen. It's like, what are you talking about?
Right. Like I could understand fine print. You can't ride a motorcycle. You can't jump out of an airplane or so. There's certain things that I could understand in a contract where the teams would expect you not to do something. Golfing, I don't get. I guess the perception is that, and we can probably all attest to this, is you become like obsessed with it. And those were the stories I would hear.
There's a lot of addictive personalities.
Well, and guys it would be like I don't know if there's truth in this, but like morning skate, go play 18, and then go to the rink and play the game.
I'm not familiar with
who
that.
the hell is doing
You can't
that?
have that much jam.
Dude,
to play
well, Michael
in the
Jordan
NHL.
allegedly did
That
that.
guy's one of one. Like,
But
there's
you're
only
telling me
one
if Jordan
guy.
did it, you're telling me it's not possible a guy at
I
the
think
end of
he's
his
the
career-
only guy to have the balls to go and have 9 Bud Lights and 2 cigars and play 36 and then drop 52 in a basketball
Yes,
game.
he is a freak of nature, and specific is the booze is what is crazy about that story.
Not the cigars.
Like the cigars. I mean, that's the way he operated. Like,
Yeah.
he would smoke cigars probably at halftime.
Most normal people, if a drop of booze enters their mouth, there's not professional sports involved in the same day.
It cannot be. It is not possible to have like 7-8 beers and then go drop 50 on a team. But those are the reports. And MJ is a different beast. He is a different beast. But I don't know, man.
Dude,
I can't corroborate any of this stuff.
No,
but
I always
I
loved it.
want to believe it.
I don't know if this happened when you played for Toronto, but like us living here, like all the private clubs around town, like it wasn't new to us. You know what I mean? Like you probably had your spot that you played when you were playing here, but guys would come into town and then I would hear them in the morning, like, the captain skates, like, yeah, I called this course. They couldn't get us out. Now I called that one. They're going to get us out. It's like, they're just making like the tour of all the nice private clubs in Toronto, seeing who will let them out on any given day.
Well,
and every day it was like, yeah, we got out at, not going to name them, but like, yeah, we got out at this one. No problem. They're letting us out.
Apparently, someone was telling me that when the Lakers were in town, they were at Toronto Golf Club. Like Toronto was still open, I guess, and like
The
We're
LA
talking-
Lakers went and played Toronto golf.
yeah, because they played Cleveland on the Wednesday night, I think, and flew in, and they were playing the Friday night. I had heard that. I
It
can't
doesn't
remember who
even need
told
to
me
be
that.
Arizona for
No,
you to tee
exactly.
it on the road. You'll tee it in Toronto.
Yeah, like the weather was really nice a
Yeah.
couple of weeks ago. It was like a Thursday. They had an off day, and I guess a couple of the guys were over there. And yeah, because I wouldn't think of Toronto as a spot you would do that with.
But you call like 5.
No, I understand that, but why would you even bring your clubs to Toronto? It's like going to New York.
No
like, we're
kidding.
playing the Knicks. I'm going to try to play, get over to Beth Page.
Shinnecock.
Why would you do that? Like, you're in New York. Like, I get it with nice weather in Arizona or whatever, but
Would you play a nice course with rentals? Like if you're on the road and you're like, I didn't bring the sticks, but it's a nice day. Like you're still gonna play a nice
but
course with
here's
rentals.
another part of it with the Lakers. They're in L.A. Like, they live in L.A. They can play Riviera when they get home. Like, I understand it if you play for the Timberwolves, you might say, okay, I got to sneak something in here. When I go home, I can't play. Or you play for the Raptors or whatever. If you're in a warm climate, why are you worried about playing on the road? Like, that's – you got a real –
you're addicted to the game.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, you have to be out there playing. And that's when it gets scary, man, when guys are so committed to the game that they can't get away.
The worst
But
part
dude,
is
just think of like single guys in a part. Like he said, he lived with Bodker. Imagine if you're you love golf like the three of us do, and your backyard or your backyard of a condo was on the 7th fairway of Greyhawk Golf Course in Arizona. It would be like I'd have a cart in my garage, and I would be gone as soon as I got home. Because people talk about pro sports as like a lonely life. That's a great way to just get away and screw around and not
best.
do anything crazy.
And if you can make friends with locals down there, other guys who have big bank and like own a business, and like, I'll play whenever you want to play.
Yeah.
Whenever.
Whenever you want to play,
It's
I'll
not
play.
the golf is not what's dangerous. What's dangerous is when you get the group together and there's one guy that goes, "You guys want to have a couple?"
Yes.
Because it never stops there. Because then it turns into dinner, and then turns into a couple casuals after that. Next thing you know, you finished practice. You're getting home at like 1-2 a.m.
Right.
Well, if
That's-
if you're using golf as an avenue to just get boiled and absolutely turn it into a gong show, Like if you're a crazy guy at the clubhouse, like then you got a problem.
That's concerning, exactly. And also like all the sun you get. Like that's another thing. You keep showing up and your face is red every day and you're burnt golf face.
I have a former teammate who was healthy scratched a lot, and he had to show up for warm up a lot. And he showed up in Greensboro with a face that was absolutely scorched because he didn't have a hat. And there was a conversation. I remember it like yesterday. The assistant coach said, "What were you doing this afternoon?" And he put his head down. He said, "I went and teed it. I played 9 holes." And I've never felt worse for the guy because it was like he just tried to play a casual 9 and he didn't have a hat and he just got busted. And it was so sad. It was a sad deal.
It's sad, man.
What the hell are you supposed to do if you never play? Like, I did that. I would always find something to do. I'm like, I gotta get out of the hotel
would you ever go tee it and play 9?
Not once did I ever tee it and play 9. Not once. And I wish I did, though, now. Looking back at it, why wouldn't I?
But it is so, like, because I'm sure you would have had scenarios like this where they're like, you know, there's a guy who's a game time decision, you'll find out. And it's like, am I going to play or not?
One time that happened.
Let me know.
One time I was in Chicago. I went to Italy. I dummied a pizza and a gelato. I'm halfway through a gelato, and I get a call like, you need to get to the United Center right now. Matt Hunwick might not play. You got to take warm-up. I got 30 minutes to get there.
Did he play?
And he ended up playing. He looks at me we get out there and warm-up. I go, you ready to go? He goes, yeah, I'm going to play, buddy. I said, yeah, obviously you were going to play.
Exactly.
Like, dude, I was 40 minutes ago, I was face deep in a pepperoni pizza.
Yeah. Like, come on, man. Let us take one for the team here and let me know that I can relax, right? Like, I know it's a professional sports, but come on.
Yeah.
So some news in the NFL. Harrison Butker is expected to have surgery to trim his meniscus, his left knee. So he's on the IR. He will not be kicking this weekend in Buffalo. So there you go. The kicker for the Chiefs. That's going to affect the line a little bit. Last time I checked on FanDuel, Chiefs, I think, were a 2-point dog.
That's crazy. They're a dog with undefeated. I don't care how good Buffalo is. And I actually do think Buffalo's going to win for some stupid reason. But them being a dog is crazy talk.
Yes. That I agree with you. And I think it's because it's in Buffalo. They've been close to getting beat, a few times this year. It's a bigger game for the Bills. And the Bills have beaten them in the regular season the past couple of years. Like, the Bills have shown up in the regular season. It's been in the playoffs where they've had concerns. Yet that is terrifying. If I'm a Bill fan or if I'm gambling on this game, the idea of not taking points with Mahomes and the Chiefs, when I think it is, as I just said, a more important game for the Bills in terms of like symbolism and them kind of puffing their chest out and saying we believe we can keep up with these guys. But they're 9-0 and they realize that history's on the line here too. And I think Andy Reid's going to have a game plan cooking. I think that Chiefs defense is going to be ready to rock. I would not be surprised at all if Kansas City won that game. Would not be surprised at all if they won by 10. Like,
really?
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's a close game. I've said all week I think the Bills will win. But if the Chiefs won 27-17, I would not be shocked.
I guess
when you're that good of a team.
The only thing that, and we talked about this 2 days ago. Like, are the Chiefs going to run the table this entire season? Because there's only limited games on the schedule where they actually have a chance of losing.
I don't think they're running the table. I don't think they're running the table.
So this would be one of the ones that you say, okay, pencil this in. This could be a loss.
The best opportunity for them to lose.
That's got to just law of averages and the fact that, like you said, they haven't played their best football every single week, although like they're getting more and more complete. Like, at some point, there's a loss on the schedule, and there's only a couple teams that can do it, and the Bills are one of those teams.
Absolutely. Luke Wilson in studio in about 15 minutes, and I've got a list today. I've got the underpant cam list for coaches in pro sports. All right, I have the 5 coaches in the big 4 sports. All right, this is not exclusive to the NFL. The NHL's in there.
You could have ripped off a 12-pack.
Easily a 12-pack.
And I want to get into how disgusting it was seeing those 2 guys in Philly on the sideline last night. Because it was disgusting.
And Cleveland did it again. Cleveland, to their credit, 13-0.
Yeah, I know. But to see Kyle Lowry out there busting his ass and those other 2 guys just sitting around, it's crazy, man.
It's a real issue in the NBA.
It is. Like, people are talking about it like they just like. You got to stop it. It's crazy.
Well, and we'll play the audio from Embiid yesterday where he's pinning it on the medical staff. Oh, well,
What?
I'd love to play, but, it's up to them, and they won't let me play. Yeah, seriously, dude, you make $60 million a year. You're the most powerful person in that organization. The medical staff is telling you
But
can't
Hayes,
play.
that's the crazy part. Like, isn't a general manager and an owner talking like, sorry, man, as good as the guy is, and he's almost won the MVP. He has won the MVP.
Yes.
I'm not paying him that much money if he's just if he's playing that amount. I'm sorry. I'm not doing
agree.
it.
And honestly, he looks out of shape. The other night, he was bent over multiple times, like blowing gaskets. He looks so out of shape, Embiid. And I think the Paul George scenario is even worse because George had a bruise. He had a bruised knee. Like, if you could coming off surgery, I can reason with that. If you have a significant pull of something, you have a bruise, you play.
The disgusting
Like,
part about it is they're doing it because they can get away with it, which just makes me sick.
Right.
Like to have teammates sitting in the locker room looking at those guys saying they're just not playing because they don't want to.
Yeah.
You're never going to win, first of all, and it's just sickening.
It is. Yeah, and the Sixers are now 2-9. They're 2-9 because
There's
those
a
two
reason
guys
the
won't
Clippers
play.
hadn't won with Kawhi just sitting around saying, nah, not
Absolutely.
tonight, no thanks. Same thing in Philly, nah, no thanks.
You're
It's
never
just-
gonna do it, man.
You'll never win.
Never win.
I
with
wonder
it.
what Nick Nurse would really be wanting to say about that.
Well,
Like, that's a guy, you see him on the sidelines. He's always fired up, high intensity. And then he's got guys like, what is Embiid doing on the days that he doesn't play? Is it just like walk into the facility, grab a massage, a hot tub, get out of there? It's a
Probably.
therapy day. And then, you see him hunched over, gasping for air. Yeah, no kidding. Like, what are you doing on your off days?
Yeah.
Because if you're not, if you can't play, you're not going through the ringer exercise-wise that day. You're just having a country club
it's crazy,
day.
man. There's one team in the NBA with a worse record than Philly, and it's the Raptors. But Nick Nurse left the Raptors knowing what was coming in Toronto. He was trying to escape it in Philly, and look where he's at. Luke coming up, and Pierre LeBrun later this afternoon as well. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4. All right, Luke Wilson will join us in studio in the 5 p.m. hour. Al's brother's in here as well. Al's brother will be in here, I guess, just to kind of poke and prod because you guys are on the clock with this game tonight.
Tonight's a bit like we put it out. Do you not agree? It kind of is. It's a swing game.
It's a
win
big
tonight.
swing game. It's a swing week, I would say.
Yes, and we could bury you guys, and I think it could be game, set, match if we get it done.
Yeah, listen, you guys are you're protecting a lead very well because we're pretty deep into the season now. We're into week 11 in the NFL.
Yeah.
Only so many games left for us to catch up. We need a big week, and it starts with you guys fumbling this game tonight. But it's a great game in Philly. Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts been pretty good this year. The Eagles' defense has been really good. Their schedule's been soft, but you can only play who you're going to play.
Give me your early lean and be honest, then I'll give you mine.
Mine is Philly wins the game, but the spread's 3.5. That I'd probably lean Philly. I'd lean Philly. I think it's a tough spot for a rookie quarterback.
Why
that
all of a
building.
sudden is he passed all the other tests and miracle comebacks and amazing? It's just a dumb comment. You're not. You don't mean that, dude.
All right,
I don't
so
think you.
I
don't think you
it's not
mean
my
that.
game. It's not
No,
my
I know,
game.
but I don't think you mean that. I think you love the kid in
I do.
Wash.
I do.
And
I do. And listen, I will say I'm not a Nick Sirianni fan. Jalen Hurts, I find I can't get a read on Jalen Hurts.
You haven't
Like,
liked
I
this
just-
Eagles team all year.
No, I
remember.
I don't. I
doing
thought they'd be
shows-
awful this year.
Doing shows leading up to the season starting, like you were not sold on the Eagles. Then they had a bad start, but like their defense has come around. Like for them to get to the record they're at now, like they've put it together.
Yes.
But-
yeah, they have. But I think, listen, it's a tight game. There's a reason the spread's only 3.5. So what are you saying? You think the Commanders are going to win tonight outright or just cover the number?
I like the vibe and Wash, man. But maybe the Commanders is just when you don't really have a team and you just jump on board and say, you know what, it's fresh, it's new, it's a new name, and who dis?
Who dis? New team, who dis?
I think they could crush them. I think they could crush them tonight.
Okay.
I got to talk to my partsy though. I don't make decisions.
All right, I like it. I kind of like if you guys are leaning towards Washington. I'm okay with being on my boy Nick Sirianni and the Eagles tonight. And Philly needs something because the Flyers aren't great and the Sixers are a mess. And like Philly's in Ottawa tonight. We were talking about this with Noodles yesterday. This is a trap game for the Sens.
Yes.
No, it isn't, dude. They're new Sens.
They-
They will win 5-1
They
tonight.
better win tonight.
They are not allowed to have trap games. Like, that's not a team
That's
that is
true.
allowed to have trap games. If they really want to change how they do things, the perception of them, like, you can't have a trap game against Philly. Every game, and I know it's unrealistic to say that every game you have to play at, like, a certain level of urgency, but they have to until they completely change how they operate there. And it has to be for a long period of time.
Yes, you're right. They should be trap game proof for quite some time. But this is the thing. If Philly goes in there and beats them and they look sleepy, it's a really bad look for Ottawa because they have to just keep proving who they are and proving that they're different. And they're coming off a great game the other night in Toronto. And now they're back home. This is one you got to get. This is one you have to get tonight. All right, so we got a big one today again because Luke will join us. I have my list coming up in a couple of hours. The Grey Cup out there in BC, they're loving life, man. They're loving life, and we talk about spreads. We're talking about the football game tonight. That spread is still a massive, massive number.
Bombers by how much?
Last time I checked, it was 10.5.
Oh.
I think it's still 10.5.
No
Dude,
respect.
10.5 is a massive number.
No
I think
respect.
you have to lay the points. I think you have to take the points, and I think the Argos can keep this close.
You know, it's a championship game. Like, it's, I don't know, are championships games ever blowouts? Like, I feel like they're pretty close.
Especially in the CFL, there's a lot of unpredictability in the Grey Cup.
Yeah.
And I think that will apply again this year. Like, I think, Winnipeg, they've obviously been very good. They deserve all the credit in the world, but they're not the same team even they were a few years ago where they were, like, clear-cut the best team in the league.
And no one wants to see a championship game become a blowout. Like, everyone's watching it.
Yes.
We want to be entertained
Keep
for
it
the
close.
3 hours.
Nicky Arbuckle's got a lot of pressure on him, but if he can protect the ball, the Argos will cover. I believe that. More on that with Ryan Dinwiddie tomorrow. The head coach of the Argos will join us tomorrow. All right, hour 2 coming up. Luke will join us in studio on the Thursday night or tonight. We'll start looking ahead to some other premier games in the NFL this weekend, including Chiefs-Bills on Sunday afternoon. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app.